we need to teach more technical reading and writing because those technical fields are still going to exist.
The conference is about aligning standards, curriculum, evaluation, and assessment, which it should be aligned. We were chosen because we're a part of the pilot district, and I think we have a strong team, and we have a building who's ready to really look into some pretty substantial change as we move into the future.
Yeah.
I'm part of the teaching and learning group through CEA, and the idea of having a conversation about how Common Core is connected to what we're doing within evaluation, with what we're doing with curriculum alignment. It just seemed a natural place to have a conversation with other people that are working on these very issues. There's great, sometimes fear in the classroom and concern about what is teacher-educator effectiveness going to mean when it hits the classroom, and so to be able to have a conversation with other educators and then take this conversation back to your school. Well, this is what the core standards are going to be. This is how they're probably going to use these to assess. So you can quell people's fears and let them know we're on track, don't panic, it'll be all right.
I think it's been a really important conversation. We talked at our table about it. It's a great segue into how to really push the change and why it's so important, rather than just saying we need to change, we need to do things differently. We've really got a lot of background about why we need to do things differently. And I think when people understand the why, it's easier to work with the how and how we're going to make that change happen.
Okay, well, since you mentioned a why is it important for educators to get together and to, outside of a classroom, and to talk about these bigger picture issues?
Well, for me, the change that's come has often been change done to us. And I find it fascinating that within a profession of doctors, if the change is going to happen, you turn to the experts. We're the experts on what kind of change should be going on in the classroom. We know what works, we know what doesn't work, and the idea that an outside agency, or school boards, or just a business community come at us and say, you need to do X, Y, and Z, well, let's work together and say, well, yes, we believe that we need to make changes, but we want to tell you what works and what doesn't work. We want our input. We want to be at the table, not told what we're doing. And for me, it elevates the profession. It's not something that somebody is talking to me, but I'm engaged in a conversation with people outside of my profession about how to make this work better, this education system. And it reflects the value of collaboration.
And I think even at the district level, we were having a conversation about the Unified Improvement Plan. And I leaned over to my principal, who is here, and I said, so who develops our Unified Improvement Plan? And he said, up until last year, it was the district office, but I think that needs to change. And I said, I agree, I think that needs to change. But, I mean, even at that level, the doing to someone, that needs to change even that level, where there are conversations that involve administration, school boards, teachers, staff, to get that buy-in and that expertise, as you talked about, the experts at the table.
What do you hope to be able to get out of it and to bring back to your schools?
I was really excited when I looked at the sessions and what was to be accomplished in them, and the fact that the trainings are geared toward the indicators that we're being evaluated on. What a great idea. I mean, why didn't we think of this before? So I'm really excited to see how we can go back to our school and say, you know, we have training that can help us as we move forward in this evaluation system. What does it mean? What does it mean in the classroom? What does it mean as we're evaluated? How do we get this all to work for us?
I really like it because we've engaged in a conversation about educator effectiveness for the last 2 years, trying to anticipate rather than when it hits the classroom react. We decided to be proactive and try to anticipate what's going to come, what's going to happen, and we've been engaged in real rich conversations in our building about the evaluation model, about what Senate Bill 191, hence educator effectiveness, is going to mean on a day-to-day basis. And so the goal was to try to anticipate what's going to hit the classroom, to bring the fear level down because people were panicked and frightened. And so now there's a little curiosity about what is it going to be when you're actually being measured for growth, but there's not the panic. And so teachers are engaged in a rich conversation about what can we do. This will add to that conversation.
Well, let me take you out 3 or 4 years into the future, and I want you to answer the question, 191, Senate Bill 191 will be successful if this has happened, and it will not be successful if this has happened.
It will be successful if enough money and time is provided to do it right. If it's going to be strung together with paper clips and string and leftover money and borrowed from this pot to pay for this pot, it won't work as well. So if there's a true, dedicated, and intentional desire to improve educator effectiveness, then provide the time and money and labor necessary to do it right.
And I think what's really important too to piggyback onto that is that I think there's got to be transparency. There has to be communication in districts among all the stakeholders. What does this mean for us? How do we make it work together? How do we make it work so it's not just another thing that someone is doing to us? I think there's got to be a lot of transparency, and I think that's one of the reasons as a pilot district, we've had a lot of that communication in the district, and there isn't a level of fear. There's really a level of, this can be really cool. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about doing my self-assessment and having those conversations with my principal so we can really see how I can improve my craft. And for the first time, I know what they expect my craft to look like. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that.
And there's not a fear, there's a bring it on. I can do this.